Thank you for tuning into the 9th episode of What Do You Say Anime. On the docket today, Adam and I will be giving our review of the summer 2019 anime season. So warning, there will be spoilers in this review, so viewer beware. We will also be going over some of the anime news that dropped since our last episode, do our always popular off the cuff segment, and end with a game of anime 20 questions, which hopefully this time will not be too controversial unlike the last time. So sit back, relax, and as we enjoy this journey into the seasonal anime review of summer 2019.
Welcome to episode 9 of What Do You Say Anime? I'm one of your hosts, Adam Bomb the Fatal Otaku, and with me as always is the glue that holds this podcast together, Peter. Peter, how you doing?
I like that a lot, Adam. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm surviving, working a lot, playing some WoW Classic, and trying to get the bad taste of this season out of my mouth.
No kidding.
Alright, so let's first jump into some news. I went and pulled some news off of a couple websites that have to do with the anime industry, and the first thing I got here for you is that the rising of the Shield Hero characters are going to be joining the next season of Isekai Quartet. Peter, you watched Isekai Quartet, correct?
Yep, I'm looking forward to season 2. I wish it wasn't Shield Hero just because that would confirm like another season. I was really hoping for like Shiro from like No Game No Life, and that way we can get season 2 of No Game No Life. But you know what? I like Shiro a lot. I think it'll add a nice dynamic to it.
Yeah, I'm not holding up much hope for No Game No Life to get another season, though I would be very happy to see it. That is one of my favorites from a few years back.
Yep, and I like that they're pumping at least the good isekais into this, so I have no issues with it. I'm pretty happy. Looking forward to season 2 of Isekai Quartet.
Same here. Next on the docket, Irregular at Magic High School is getting a second season. That's going to be coming out next year. Did you ever get a chance to watch that? I know this might have been right around the time you were in college.
Yeah, I watched it. I was one of the first anime I watched when I started getting hooked on anime. I absolutely hated season 1, so season 2 really doesn't do a whole lot for me.
I am with you on that, but it's one of my buddy Matt's favorite shows. He always talked about it, tried to get me to watch it. I'm not a fan of the sibling relationship, and that's what pushed me away from it. But
yeah, and just like the main character is like a bland bitch isekai protagonist without being in another world type of thing, and like being OP and everything, and it just didn't click with me. It was like, I don't know, the show just wasn't for me, but I know a lot of people were hyped about this. I know a lot of people love this show. So for the masses, I'm happy for them. For me, I maybe will watch it. We'll see when it comes out. But 2020 is looking absolutely stacked, so I don't really know if I want to throw this on my docket depending on which season it comes out in.
I totally understand. Unless there's a completely blank schedule, which I don't foresee being, there's not a chance I'm really going to watch it. I didn't enjoy the first season.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to check out another previous episode of our podcast, I have a pretty good list of like my top 10 shows for 2020 that are getting sequels or additional seasons that I'm looking forward to way more than this sequel.
Nice internal plug on that one.
Yep.
Next one we got, Funimation is going to be dubbing the 2 OVAs of Yu Yu Hakusho. And that is, for me, probably like the biggest news on this list today, because Yu Yu Hakusho is my favorite shonen, if not my favorite anime of all time. I absolutely love it. And the original dub cast is coming back. And if you have not watched Yu Yu Hakusho, watch it dubbed. Do not watch it subbed. The dub is so much better. And that's not normally something you can say about a show, but I'm 100% like on board with watching it dubbed.
Yep. Kuwabara dubbed is legit. I think it's my favorite dub casting of all time. He's literally one of my favorite characters of all time now because of the dub. I personally, I don't think the sub was that bad, but I just think the dub is god tier.
Oh yeah,
And so,
absolutely. It's
like
not
when the news came out for like the dubbing of the OVAs, I was like, I kind of lost my shit. Even though I'm not completely finished with it, like I'm wrapping up the Dark Tournament still, but like I absolutely love Yu Yu
half the show to
Hakusho.
go.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, even only being halfway through Yu Yu Hakusho, like this announcement, I was like, oh damn, type of thing. So really looking forward to the OVAs.
That's good to hear. Next up, we have Aniplex's merged Funimation in North America. So Aniplex and Funimation are going to be essentially a joint operation now. They're both owned by Sony. And speaking for what it could mean in the future, I can't really say, but we could be seeing more Aniplex shows coming to Funimation, like streaming services. We could also see Funimation is supposed to be taking the distribution rights, and it's like basically in charge of like creating the dubs and distributing it among the North American audience. Which, if you're a Blu-ray collector like I am, Aniplex of America is known for keeping the prices equivalent to what they are over in Japan, which means if you're buying something like, oh, I'll just use this as an example, Sword Art Online, it's broken up into 4 sets, and each set's like $60 each for a season. So you have to spend over $200 to get a season of a show, which is ludicrous. I mean, if you're like a collector like myself, it's just you don't have that kind of money just laying around all the time. And Funimation has a lot better prices. So if Funimation is in charge of distributing, we might see a drop in prices on some of these Aniplex shows, which would be really nice.
Yep, I know it's a big deal for a lot of people who are collectors. Personally, that's not me. I just stream everything, but I know someone like you, and I know a lot of other people prefer having the physical copies of shows. That this is a pretty big deal, and hopefully that we won't get like $300 box sets anymore.
Yeah, it's it's really hard to be buying shows that you love if you know they're going to be $300. So.
Yeah.
Next up, and the last one on our list, is Crunchyroll has acquired a majority stock in Viz Media over in Europe. And I'm not sure if this entails other areas like North America, but as far as I know, it's just Europe right now, which means that's the same kind of thing where Crunchyroll is going to be using Viz Media as like distributors and like ins in the distribution, like their distribution means to like reach more vendors. So you might be seeing Crunchyroll having more of a presence over in the UK.
Can't complain about that.
But that's all I've got for the news this week. Want to throw it over to you, Pete?
All right, so we're going to jump into our summer 2019 anime review, and we are both going to start off with some of our favorites. So, Adam, you want to take it first?
All right, so first one I watched, the one that I was keeping up week to week and watching multiple times in sub and dub, is How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? This show is probably one of the few shows that I actually enjoyed watching. Many other shows this season I could not stand. Well, the premise is about a girl named Hibiki who wants to lose some weight so that she can get in shape for summer season so she can find a boyfriend. And so she joins a gym where she runs into popular pretty girl Akemi, and the two of them start working out with muscle bro Machio, who is a plain looking like pretty boy character who when he flexes rips all his clothes off. It's a hilarious show. It's an educational show about working out. It has a banger OP. The ending theme song is great too. It's, like I said, one of my favorite shows of the season, which isn't very hard for the season, but overall I really, really liked it.
Yeah. Definitely loved How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift. One of the shows, rare shows this season where I was looking forward to the episode dropping so I could watch it as soon as I got home from work. Like you said before, Definitely, the OP is an OP of the year contender. Absolute jam of a song. It's on my like gym workout playlist. It's even when I'm just at work and chilling, and you just need like a nice pump up song. It's such an easy, fun song to relax to, and just get you through the day. The ED is fantastic, like you said before. One of just a great overall enjoyable show. Personally, like the only thing that I would like nitpick on is like some of the storylines that they set up that I never got into, but you never
That's
know.
fair.
Like with how like popular the show is, and these the only way I can kind of relate it to like these not should say hobby shows, but like for example like Laid Back Camp, how it kind of sparked like a camping revolution, and it got so popular that now it's like getting a movie and a season 2 for 2020. This show kind of had like a similar effect on like not like weightlifting but fitness in general, where I can definitely see this show kind of setting up for a second season down the road. Like not anytime soon. I think it would probably be at least probably like 2 years. But I can definitely see how they can easily make like a new storyline where like maybe Hibiki gets like fat again. You could easily make like a second season or something like that. So personally, a great enjoyable show, and honestly one of my favorites of the season.
Yeah, there's plenty of content from the manga too, from what I am aware of. I'm gonna start reading it. Like I don't normally read, so
Yep.
if you hear me talking about picking up a manga and wanting to read it, it's because I really love a show or a light novel. But from what I hear, there's plenty of content to make. Talking about going back to the OP one more time, I don't remember the name of the website now, but there was a top 10 anime download chart from Japan and of anime theme songs from this last season, and it was number one on the list. So that goes to show you, like, it's a banger song. So if you
It
haven't
beat
heard
Demon
it,
Slayer OP.
yeah, it did. Demon Slayer was number 2, and it was number 1, and I think Demon Slayer's ED was number 4 on that chart too.
Gotcha. Yep.
But
So
yeah, it's a
sorry.
go on,
ahead.
go us. No, you go.
Okay, well, I was just gonna wrap it up with this one. That it was a very enjoyable show and very little things to nitpick. So just like from a personal rating, like what did you score this show?
I have it at a 9 out of 10.
Okay, I gave it an 8 just because obviously it's nothing like the show doesn't take itself serious or anything like that. It's just like a fun, enjoyable show with like some great like lifting tips and everything like that. Next, we're gonna transition to the ever popular Demon Slayer. Adam, I think you watched some episodes but never finished it.
Yeah, I'm not completely caught up on it. I'm about 3 episodes in, but it's one of those shows that I'm all on board for it.
Sure. Okay, so then I'll just do a little quick like synopsis. It's a story of a revenge story of Tanjiro, who is a villager where his family is murdered by a group of, or not a group, a single demon, and luckily his sister survives, but she's like half demon, half human, kind of like Blade minus the vampire, but more demon. And it's just like a revenge story of him trying to become a demon slayer, hence the title, and avenging his family and becoming like this great warrior. And personally, I'm not the biggest shonen fan in the world. I'm very picky when it comes to shonen, and I think Demon Slayer, when it's all said and done, is going to be one of the greatest shonens ever made. I think Demon Slayer is easily an Anime of the Year contender. We're already getting a movie for the next arc, which I'm assuming will also fall into a season 2 announcement. Just depending on, I just hope it's only Ufotable who does the producing of season 2. I know they're doing the movie as well. It's animation, obviously it's Ufotable, so if you're familiar with like Fate Zero, Unlimited Blade Works, it's that type of animation where it's just absolutely breathtaking. I think everybody lost their shit at episode 19. No spoilers, but when you get to episode 19, you're probably going to lose your shit over the animation and fight scenes. It's like a fight of the year contender, animation of the year contender. It's that good of a show. Can't say how good it is enough. Nezuko, best girl of the year contender. Tanjiro, best boy of the year contender. My biggest concern with Demon Slayer earlier in the year was the side characters and how I didn't really enjoy them, but by the end of the show, I absolutely loved them. So it does a really good show of like character building and just driving the story into a really good place to end on, along with just a really enjoyable watch. So personally, like I said before, it's an Anime of the Year contender. It's easily Anime of the season, like not even remotely close. 10 out of 10. If you haven't watched Demon Slayer, go watch it now.
So I finished the first half of the first season, the one that basically what took place last core.
Yeah.
Last core. I finished everything there, so I'm only a few episodes into this part, so the second half of this season. But like you said, this is, for at least for me right now, as much as I love Dumbbells, this is the anime of the season. For me, at least, unless it drops off drastically, which from the sounds of it, it doesn't.
No, it only gets better. Honestly, like, I'm such a pickler for shonens, and this it absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like, I cannot say good. I honestly don't have, like, a bad thing to say. Like, I legit think this show, I'm hoping it's probably going to get multiple seasons. And I literally think, like, when it's all said and done, like, I think Hunter x Hunter is, like, my fourth favorite show of all time. I think it's literally going to be on, like, the Hunter x Hunter level. That's how good the show is.
Yeah, that's great praise to hear from you. I do want to sidetrack for a second, because I was talking to you earlier this week about how I was getting really upset with fandoms. Yes. And how, like, this is... So it's going to be a bit away from the review section, but it's something I kind of want to talk about.
Yeah,
on Twitter, there was a cosplayer that did a cosplay of Nezuko. And this cosplayer, I'm going to guess is in her mid-20s, did a adult Nezuko cosplay, like aged her up, which I guess really pissed off a large chunk of anime fans, saying that, basically calling what she was doing, like, wrong, and, like, how she should be ashamed of herself for cosplaying an adult Nezuko.
Because it was Protect Nezuko a little too serious.
Well, not just that, but, like, basically saying what she was doing was bordering on, like, pedophilia, because she's obviously, like, sexualizing traits from a character that is underage, even though she herself is an adult. And though I can respect trying to, like, keep mediums pure as much as you can, I feel like the amount of hate that this person got for just doing a cosplay was beyond ridiculous, especially when it wasn't, I guess to me, like, it wasn't that bad. Like, it wasn't like she was completely naked or anything like that. It was just, this woman has a big bust, and you could see her big bust in her kimono. Like, but I don't know. It was that, along with the stuff that was going on with the Vic Mignogna lawsuit and the headbutting going on there, and then the rest of the shows that we're about to get into, along with drama in the video game industry that's going on right now, that just kind of took a drain on all the things I liked lately.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what I'm getting at here is try to give people, like, even if you don't like something and you don't enjoy it, whether it be a show, whether it be someone's take on a cosplay, you don't have to go out and harass the person for it, because you're making the community look bad.
Yeah, that seems... I'm unfamiliar with it, but, like, if a busty girl wants to cosplay as Nezuko, like, it seems like she kind of... I honestly don't know. I didn't see the picture, but, like, sometimes you can't help it type of thing.
And I'm not saying that she couldn't help it. Like, it was definitely a attempted, like, she wanted her chest to be shown. But, again, if you're aging
more
up...
power to her.
Yeah, it's her body, like... it's all... In the end, this is all based on fictional shows. It's based on... None of these characters are real, so no one's being harmed when you age up a character in a cosplay. Like... That's just my opinion. If you don't like it, then you feel free to tell me, but I don't know. I just felt like I was getting really drained by just reading all the negativity that's been going on in the gaming and the anime industry lately, that I just got a burnout the last couple weeks.
I feel ya. I know what you're saying. There's a couple fandoms like that. Maybe not like the harassing type of thing that you do, but like sometimes fandoms like drain the energy from me as well.
Yep. So just that was just something I want to say. If you guys have something, you don't like one of our takes, you don't like a take of somebody else, it's fine to state it, but try to keep it civil, Don't let it get to the point of harassment.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
we're adults. Especially we've had when we had our controversial 20 questions segment. We had some feedback, and you know what? Most of the people said it in like a very dull manner, like I disagree with you because of this, or I agree with you because of this. And
Yep.
if people said I was wrong and they stated their opinion, I'm perfectly cool with that. Thank you for like letting me know. Let's keep it civil, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I want to say. Let's jump back onto the review track, shall we? So the next show we watched, or we both watched, was Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season. And this was a show about a group of girls who are in middle school, if I'm correct, right?
High school.
High school? They just entered high school?
I think they're I think they're like juniors in high school.
Oh, are they? Okay. Well, they're high school.
They have the scene where like the senpais like graduated from their like literature club, and then they're taking over it this year. So I think they're either juniors or seniors.
Okay. Well, so we have some high school girls that are part of a literature club that basically they want to learn about sex and what sex is about, and so at least going into it, it's a comedy that just follows this group of girls from a literature club going through the ups and downs of boys and how sex works, and like one girl's trying to write a novel and she wants to discover like sex so that she can write better. And is there anything you want to point out about before I start breaking it down?
Yeah,
my thoughts.
It's definitely a it has the comedy aspects. It has like that romance and drama aspects that I think that does better. I shouldn't say better, but it does well compared to like other shows in that genre, where it's a little bit more mature. They take their time. It's not like the cliche like. I think I gave in like a previous example in a different episode where it like takes 12 episodes to manifest like a confession, or like 12 episodes to manifest like a hand-holding scene, or like they take like real life subjects that people are going through and they hit it on the head like pretty well, I thought. Just with like when you're 16 years old, whether you're a boy or a girl, like sex is on your mind like all the time. So like I thought they did like a really good like how they viewed that and how they like described that a very well job in the show.
Yeah, and I found it to be completely relatable, which is a blessing and a curse for this show, because when they were able to talk and they were like to say exactly what was on my mind when I was that age and be like, you put into words something I couldn't do. The ending scene, like one of the ending scenes in the last episode does it perfectly, and I'm not going to spoil it for people that haven't finished it yet, but I think the ending confession scene between two of the characters was done great. Everything that the guy said, I agree with. He spoke my mind in a way I couldn't, which I love. However,
can I jump in real quick? That he does. I'm not gonna. It's no spoilers, but that guy does a really good interpretation of the difference between a like romantic sexualization of somebody and then just like a like physical sexualization of somebody.
Exactly.
And I thought that was like, I honestly haven't really seen that many times in shows, and I thought it was portrayed perfect.
That's exactly what I was talking about. And the way he stated it was done in a way I've never heard in anime, much less heard in real life. Like having someone just break it down the way he did in a simple enough way that it made sense within the show, but made sense to us, the viewer. Like, yeah, that's what it is. That's what I'm feeling right now, or was feeling at the time, or whatever it is. So that was great. There was a part, and I want to say it was around episode 9, 10, that borderlines on NTR. And for anyone who knows me, that's one of my biggest pet peeves in a show, period. And like it got so serious that it made me uncomfortable watching.
Do you want to explain what NTR is?
Okay, so I'm going to apologize for my pronunciation on this first off, but it's netorare. It basically is trying to steal someone from somebody else. It's a term that translates I believe translates exactly to cuckolding.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to put it.
But it's more than that in this regard. It's like trying to steal someone from someone else who's in like a form of a relationship. And there is a scene in there where one of the characters does that to her best friend, and it makes me sick to my stomach just thinking about. And it's just a personal thing. For some people, that's going to be a plus because it gets really real and emotional. But for me, that went a bit too far.
I completely understand what you're saying. I think for me, it's like the opposite of you because like I felt like that was real. Like people like what she did in the show, like that's a really shitty thing to do, but like that happens in real life.
Oh,
And
it
so I thought that was a
absolutely
really
does.
like the show does a really like accurate portrayal. Like it doesn't seem like it's like an anime show. It feels like it's a real life show that's just animated type of thing.
Yep.
So I completely get your viewpoint why you didn't like it. Personally, it was one of the reasons why I did like it because like things that make you uncomfortable doesn't mean it's bad.
Oh, no, it doesn't mean it's bad at all. It just, for me, it made it less fun to watch.
Yeah, taking away from the enjoyment is a part of the show. So like obviously if it's not your thing, you're not going to like it, and you should just watch what you like. So it definitely makes sense from your point of view.
However, I will say, even if that is something that you agree with me on, that it's not something you would yourself enjoy, I still think the show is worth watching because everything around it is so good. It's
Yes.
wonderful, and like it's one uncomfortable moment actually there's one other part that's kind of uncomfortable. I think it's the same episode with the teacher, but
Yep.
honestly, like that even for me is less like stomach churning than that. But what, I'm getting off track. My point is, if you enjoy, like, if it sounds like something you enjoy, that realistic like depiction of like going through puberty and people like discovering that, like, it's a great show to watch. Don't let that one scene, or my opinion of that one scene, like make you decide not to watch it, because it's great. It's
Yes.
just one tiny thing that just made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, and then like the tiny thing that I nitpick on, it was like I'm gonna try like avoiding spoilers, but episode 11 where they're in the school, I did not like that part of it because the whole show felt so real to me, and then episode 11 was very cartoonish and over the top, and it kind of took me away from it. I was like, I don't know, they set up like this beautiful story, and then they kind of just went like something where it's like a typical anime like sidetrack thing that they did, and that kind of took away from me for a little bit. And I also hate that they essentially set it up where we're not getting a second season. Like they concluded the story in episode 12. I was like, you know what? Because the manga's still going, or I think it's a light novel actually. It's still going, and there's still content for it. So I was like, man, I really wish there was more. And they've essentially set it up where we're not getting any more. So a beautiful 12 episodes show.
It was a good show, though, and I'm happy for what we got. Can we talk about the teacher, then, for 1 minute, then? Since we're gonna... His whole announcement to the class is... That just kind of blew my mind. I didn't like that they did that. Because no teacher's actually going to do that, at least not here in North America. Maybe they would in Japan. I don't know their culture that well, but over here in North America, there's no way the teacher makes that announcement.
Yeah, there's some of the adult decisions in the show kind of like took me away from it too as well. Where like these like 16-year-old girls are way more mature and smarter than like these adults. So I was like, you're just using it to set up like drama elements. But that's like really nitpicking the show because overall I thought the show was like, it was literally my anime of the season up until episode 19 of Demon Slayer. Like that's how much I valued the show.
I had it as my favorite show. Like, when I watched it, I was all on board up until that point I told you about. Maybe an episode before that, when the drama starts like really picking up. But it's still top 3 for me this season.
What'd you end up giving it?
I have an 8.
Okay, I have it as a 9. I absolutely loved it. I just thought the things that they portray in it is some of the best of any like romantic comedy anime I've ever seen. So there's just so many great things about the show. I highly recommend it if you're in that like rom-com drama type of show.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
All right, next up, 2 shows that I'm currently watching that have multiple cores. First one up is Dr. Stone. I believe we are 13 episodes in. The second core of season 1 is starting right now, and this is a show where I highly recommend, if you haven't started watching it right now, don't. I think you should wait for the entire show to finish. This is a show where it's much better to watch in a binge than an episode to episode, even though I'm watching it episode to episode, and I still think it's really good. There's just so many different random elements to the show. It's really hard to explain how you should watch it as a binge instead of an episode to episode, but Dr. Stone essentially is people get frozen in time, and then like 3,700 years later, some people are woken up, and it's just the journey of rebuilding a society. So really nice world building, really cool characters, and like over the top facial expressions. Highly recommended it if you are into like world building, more character based. There's some action in it, but it's really not an action based show. It's like shonen style still as well, so you get the over top facial expressions, the action scenes are over the top, and just like how the explanations of some of the situations they get in are like this Deus Ex Machina, where just like randomly we need one beautiful thing to happen and boom, it happens. So there's a little like ha ha ha, little over the top type of thing. So personally, I'm enjoying Dr. Stone. It's an 8 out of 10 for me. And the next one that is currently on a hiatus for like 3 weeks, I think it has like 2 weeks left on its break, is Fire Force. And that's the human combustion show where we see people turning into infernals, and we have like this specialized firefighting force called the Fire Force to dispatch of these infernals. Very shonen, very over the top action based. I really, really enjoy the action. The fight scenes are absolutely amazing. The fight scene with one of the firefighters is probably like it'll be like nominated for like fight of the year. It's that good. The only issues I really have with Fire Force is the pacing is terrible. It's every episode is just so random, like what we're going to get. Are we going to get like this action paced episode where we get like 15-minute fights, or are we going to get a 23-minute epilogue episode? So you really don't know what you're going yourself into. It kind of drives me away, and the fan service is so fucking bad. It's so bad. I'm sorry. I have no issues with fan service, but it's just so forced, and if it was not in the show, it would make it so much better, and it's not needed. So the fan service in one of these shows takes it away from me. Personally, I still think it's a good show. I think you should check it out if you are into like a shonen fan. It's a 7 out of 10.
Alrighty. Now we're going to be getting into the block of shows that just make me want to bang my head against the wall.
It's our famous isekai block.
Yep. So first off on the docket, Ari Ferreira. Ah, man. So this was the show, I believe, when we were talking about it the midway through the season or partway through the season, I was enjoying to some extent over the other shows. But boy, did that change like the next episode in.
Yeah.
So this show is about a group of students, a class that gets teleported into another dimension. The main character, Hajime, he gets like betrayed by one of his classmates, falls down to the bottom of a cave, and ends up having to survive on his own, being one of the weakest classes that they get bestowed upon when they enter this world. He has like the Synergist class, allowing him to basically absorb powers from monsters that he eats. And where do I even go with this? So the main character, he stumbles across like a door with a monster behind it that has like a bunch of it's like a Hydra. I think it's the Hydra part. I don't even remember.
Literally the worst scene of anime I've seen this year.
It's a terrible CGI snake. He finds this vampire chick that's like a vampire loli that he may or may not have been having sex with.
Pretty sure he had sex with her.
I don't fucking know. This show is after episode 5, and they finally decided to do a recap episode to explain what the heck's actually going on, because I was so confused I dropped it. Like,
yep, I made it to episode 5 as well.
And yeah, there's not much to say. It's the premise. It felt like it was setting something up, if not like a bit like convoluted, but it never ended up getting anywhere for me. I gave it more than I normally give shows that I'm gonna drop, and the main character's dumb, the lowly vampire's dumb, the CGI fights were dumb. the rest of the
Okay, so I
class.
know we were
didn't-
talking a little bit before this about how we both didn't finish the show, but I found out what happened, and I want to get your reaction.
Okay, okay, I've
So,
not heard this yet. So what is this?
So spoilers for Arifueta. If you haven't seen it yet, don't. But so after the whole Hydra fight, they meet a bunny rabbit girl who is like Aqua from Konosuba, but is literally there for no reason and is there for fan service and quote unquote like the comic relief. I've seen some clips on YouTube, and she seems like one of the worst characters ever made. And then later down the road, they end up buying a slave mermaid, and the show turns into a harem.
Wow.
You get this like smart, edgy edgelord OP protagonist who always is like logically thinking, and then just brings in like this absolute moron bunny girl, and then buys a slave mermaid for no reason. That's how the show ends.
So you have just a thirsty lily vampire, edgy McEdgelord, a dumb bunny girl, and a mermaid. Okay.
Yes.
So they never end up seeing the class again. I actually could care less. I don't give a crap.
So
about
the
any
class
of them
ends
either.
up going into like a different dungeon, and they never cross paths.
Whatever. Who cares?
So it's just like, to be honest, it's like I'm assuming that they're not going to make a second season of this show because this show was delayed a year before making even season 1. So it's just like, I don't know. It's some of the choices that they made, knowing that they're probably not making a season 2, made the show even worse. I dropped it off after episode 5. Sounds like you dropped it after episode 5.
Yeah, I just remember them getting to a mansion and finding a magic ring, and I don't know.
Yeah. So just in terms of like rating scale, I gave it a 4. Just because I don't know.
Sure.
It was just not good.
Yeah.
And-
I don't rate shows that I drop, but if I was going to, it'd be a 4, 3.
Yep. Alright, so next up on our Isekai block is the Do You Like Your Mom and her 2-hit multi-target attacks. One of another Isekai added to the block, but like once again, just not a good show. I said in an earlier episode where the scenes where we don't get the mother-son fan service, the show isn't it's not good, but it's not terrible. And I stuck with it. I finished all 12 episodes.
Oh, you're a man.
Thank God the fan service after episode 3, I think, only happens once between the mother and son thing. So they cut down that part of the fan service, which I was so happy for. So I was literally going to be like, if I see one more part of fan service between the two, I was going to drop it. And I didn't get it until episode 11, I think. And I was like, well, at this point, I might as well finish it. The whole story, like, literally makes no sense. It's just like mothers and sons joining this MMORPG alternate reality world so they can build their bond together. Like, obviously the premise is meant to be a joke, but it's not really a satire. It's its own story. Personally, the comedy was like fine, and like the characters were fine. Like one of the characters, like the sage, I think her name is Wise, literally goes, she's like a tsundere, and then towards the end of it is just like in love with the main character for like no apparent reason. So that was kind of dumb. Just like a general basic isekai. I gave it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, this is another one I dropped, and I dropped it right after episode 3. My issues with it were, one, I don't mind the comedic aspects of it. Like you said, they're not bad, they're not great, but like they're tolerable. But you're putting them in like an MMO world, in a fantasy realm, and all of the fights are just so like anticlimactic. It's quite literally the mom just swinging a sword and fire or ice coming out of it and everything dying. It's one swing, everything dies in one hit, except for like a couple confrontations with with other characters. But for the most part, it's like the action scenes are beyond boring. I didn't so much care for the characters, like the one girl who carries around the bag and picks up all the items I thought was cute and funny.
Great character. I actually loved her character.
But everyone
it was the only
else,
character I liked.
Like she's like obsessed with like picking up the gems. Like she's the only one like doing her job like super seriously, and I love that about her. Everyone else is just kind of like doesn't want to be there. Besides, I guess the mom. Like she's more about dolting or like just obsessing over her son than anything. I just couldn't keep up with it. It was illogical. The way they jumped between arcs, I didn't even like. Like they just kind of like let's just start the next like confrontation. There's no real setup to it, it feels like.
Yeah, this one won the default Best Isekai of the Season award based off of it not being, like, the worst show ever made, unlike the next two we're getting into.
Oh my... Yes. I honestly... Okay, yeah, we'll just get it right into it now. Isekai Cheat Magician, I watched the first 3 episodes, and I honestly could not differentiate this from, like, Wise Man's grandchild or grandson or like any of those other like teleported to another world. When we were at Crunchyroll Expo, what like they showed that whole like the main cities from like different shows, and you had to guess like what show the cities came from. You remember that?
Yep. Yeah, they showed like the map from like Konosuba and this one and what
was
other
Wise
ones
Man's,
the show?
was it
Wise Man's grandchild,
and they're
all
exactly the same. But it goes beyond just like their setting, their set being exactly the same. The story feels the same. The overpowered protagonists feel the same. It's like someone said, "Can I copy your homework?" but just changed it a little bit so that it went like that. Everyone's seen that meme. Like,
yeah.
But that's exactly what this show was. It's like every other trapped in a or isekai where an overpowered protagonist gets magical powers and gets transported into another world.
Yeah, I remember asking you a question because you dropped it after episode 3. I was like, guess who the villain is? And you're like, I don't know, a demon lord? You're like, yep, you're absolutely correct. Like, and you haven't even seen the rest of the show. It's like, you don't even have to see it. You could guess what's going to happen. It's like, OP protagonist, childhood friend. Random, like, kind of harem elements. There's not like a romance element to the show. I lasted 2 more episodes than you did, and I wish I dropped it after episode 3.
Yeah.
Because like it's so fucking bad.
I like in order to get through episode 3, because I will watch the first. I'd give it the 3 episode rule, like most people do.
Same.
I fell asleep in episode 2 twice. Just like I was watching it while playing World of Warcraft, and even World of Warcraft couldn't keep me that interested.
Yeah, and it had some elements to make it. I'm not even gonna say good, but like watchable, like a 5 out of 10 type of show, and it did nothing to it. It's just everything is always revolved around the blind bitch protagonist OP. He's always the most powerful. Nothing changes. He fights a demon lord, and if you haven't seen the show, you could probably fill in the blanks and guess what happens. And guess what? You're probably right.
Yeah.
So we both dropped it. You dropped it after 3 episodes. I dropped it after 5 episodes. I put it at the same like rank as Arifureta, so I give it a 4 out of 10. And I know you don't rate your drops. So
I'd give it probably a 2. I cared that little about it.
Ooh, okay. All right. And
maybe a 3, but like.
Okay.
Yeah,
Last for the Isekai block is Mao-sama retry or Demon Lord retry, which is the same shit. Like, I don't even know how much we have to get into it. The only cool thing I liked about this is that the main character is like an admin of a server instead of this overpowered like player, which he also is. But that was the only cool episode, aspect of the show. The side characters are terrible. There's like a trap character who drove me insane, literally dropping the show. Same shit, except he's a demon lord, so he doesn't have to kill a demon lord. I don't know much to say. How many episodes did you make it, Adam?
Every one of these that I dropped, I'd probably dropped at episode 3 or 4. So I
dropped it. I dropped it after 4. So just like same shit. I gave this one a 4 out of 10 since I think Arifureta, Demon Lord Retry, and Isekai Cheat Magician are all so bad in their like own elements that I can't say which one is the worst Isekai of the season. I think they're all literally just throw it in a dumpster and burn it.
Yeah, I couldn't. I'll try to be nice and say something I liked about it. The main character like feeling like he was some kind of mafia boss, I guess was all right.
Yeah, literally the only thing I liked about the show was the main character, and I didn't even say liked. I was more of like
Tolerated?
I managed. Yeah, like he was a manageable character.
Yeah. I
Bad
hated
show,
the
4 out of 10.
I hated the two princesses that showed up, or
Oh
whatever the
yeah,
hell they were. Like
yeah, terrible characters. The Rem wannabe and the
the
tsundere like pink haired girl from every anime ever made.
yeah.
Yep, don't watch it. There's not much to say. Let's just move on to the next one.
Yeah. Next one is another one that I dropped, Hensuki. So this one, I'll premise before I get into it. I will say this: I feel like there are people out there that could like this show. I
There's
don't
a
think
lot of people who like the show.
I can see why someone could find it even enjoyable. I'm just not one of them. So
I don't.
main
I'm also one of them.
main character is part of like a calligraphy club. He's has a sister who's an exhibitionist and like to take her clothes off, and he's got a group of girls like childhood friends and a harem essentially that are all have their different kinks, but he doesn't know that quite yet. And one day after the calligraphy club cleans up, he finds a love note and a pair of panties sitting on the desk, and he has to figure out who is the panty Cinderella. Which of these girls from the calligraphy club might be the girl that secretly has a crush on him, and so he goes out on dates and starts to get to know all of these different girls. I think I got through 4 episodes of this one.
Ooh, I think I lasted 4 episodes as well.
And so, like, the dates pretty much go as you'd expect. They're cute girls. Like, I don't mind the art at times. Like, some of the character designs, we'll say, are cute. I like the character designs. He goes out on these seemingly normal dates, and then at the very end, you realize some things that they've been saying might have been not what you thought they were, and they reveal what kink they have. Like, one of the girls wants to be treated like a dog, and another girl is a masochist. His sister is an exhibitionist, and yeah, each of the different girls has a kink.
We talked about it in the like first impressions episode, where like the whole setup for the show is that the punchline is, "Hey, I'm X like type of fetish. Like I'm an exhibitionist. Ha 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 ha. Get it?" And it's like that. It was like it's not funny. The whole setup is just terrible. The fetishes are like some of them are weird, but like I don't know. Like it just the story doesn't make any sense to me. How you set up 12 episodes for 3 fetishes, which are I don't know, not that uncommon, I guess. Like
No, not really.
yeah, it's like I don't know. Like I didn't get the comedy, the fan service was just like. Why don't you like if this is the type of show that you like for like fan service and like no story and no plot? Why don't you just go watch hentai type of thing? Like, at least there you'll actually get like some satisfaction other than watching this boring ass shit.
Yeah.
Personally, this is my least favorite show this season. I hated it. I like the animations were terrible. Like I said before, it felt like you were watching somebody play a dating sim game, but they were like really bad at it. That's because he literally picks none of them, and then like the sister's not actually his sister, so then
Well,
they
of
just
course
had to
not.
add that. They had to add that sister element to like it. I'm just like, just stop! Like it's so bad and not funny, and but for some reason, like it has like a 6.8 on Mal. I'm like, this show should have like a 3 on Mal.
So I follow a lot of the English VAs, and the amount of times I've seen people just be like gushing after an episode comes out really surprised me. And that's actually how I figured out how this all ends. Do you want to play Guess Who the Panties Belong To? I kind of feel like we need a theme song right there. Guess who the panties belong to?
Is it the dominatrix? Is it the sister? Or the chick who's a dog?
Which one
Write
do you
your
think
answers down now. Wasn't it the sister?
It is. It's the sister.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Like,
there you know. You figured it out, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. So I gave this a 3. Worst anime of the season. I don't know if it's worse than Wise Man Grandchild, which is my worst anime of the year so far. It's
Oh, it is
really
for me.
close with that show.
I finished that show and didn't necessarily hate it. So
Yeah, so it's just like I'm like compiling like my end of the year awards now. So like,
yeah,
I'm trying to just keep a list of all these awful, awful shows I've seen, and like Hensuki, Arifueta, Demon Lord Retry, and Isekai Cheat Magician are all going to be nominated for Worst Anime of the year, and they all came out this season.
yeah. I might take this one out and throw in multi. Do you love your mom and her twin hit multi-target attack for me? But
That's completely understandable.
yeah, I don't have anything else to really say. Like the
Yeah,
show is,
yeah.
I can understand where people who, if you're maybe the dub's like so super great that it's like
Maybe.
way like it makes up for how unfun the show was for me. And not it's not funny, but I guess people thought it was hilarious. So if you like that kind of like kink humor, like really bad sex jokes, maybe this is the show for you.
Yeah,
But
I think if you're a 12-year-old boy, you'll like the show a lot.
oh yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Maybe it's just because
All right.
we're both like getting close to 30. That
Yeah,
it's just
we're
not,
like, yeah, yeah, getting older can understand things a little bit better. Next up, a hidden gem of the season that I watched is called Copcraft. The best way to describe it, or Adam, have you ever seen Gate?
yes.
Okay, think of Gate. Instead of us going into their world, they came into our world.
Okay.
And it's a cop drama. The best way to describe it is like if Rush Hour was an anime and Jackie Chan was played by a elf girl
I'm down with that.
who had like magical powers. But like the action is like fantastic and the story like makes sense and it's has like really funny comedic elements. There's one episode, slight spoiler but not really, where in the like elf world, but it's like other demons and stuff too, they don't have porn. So she is introduced to a porn magazine for the first time, and like her facial expressions of like finding out essentially what sex is through this porn magazine is like absolutely hysterical. It's one of the funniest scenes I've seen this year. It's just like a great buddy cop like drama like action. There's like some comedy, but it's more like a buddy cop drama. Highly recommended. It's on Funimation and it has a sub and a dub. 12 episodes, really easy to listen to. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was that good of a show.
Oh wow. I know I've seen a couple people talk about it on Twitter that this was an underrated show, but like that 8 out of 10 is a great score, so I'm gonna have to throw that on my list.
Yeah, I was like put off by like the poster for like the show, and I was
That
like,
was
what
exactly
the
why I
hell?
didn't watch it.
I was like, what the hell? It's like a grown ass man and like this random elf girl, but like if you can literally look past that, like the show is like really solid and like really like adult dialogues and everything. So recommend it if you're a fan of like the best way. It's Rush Hour, but with an elf girl.
All right, next up on the docket, if it's for my daughter, I'd even defeat a demon lord. So going into this one, I thought this was going to be one of my favorite ones this season. And it's better than most of the stuff I watched this season, but it's still not good. It's about, okay, the main character, I don't remember his name. He's an adventurer. He goes off.
Dale
Dale the adventurer
Dale.
goes off one day. That's such, I can't help
That's
but
such a
think of
terrible
King of
name.
the
I
Hill.
know.
But anyway, Dale goes off on an adventure, and he's like cooking out at a campfire, and he sees like this little demon girl come up. She's like a child, maybe like 5, 6, and he gives her some food, and he finds out that her father's dead and that she's basically being hunted. And so he adopts her and brings her back with him to stay at the Adventure Guild Inn or whatever, and he's basically become a parent after going on this adventure. And the times, what was her name? It's something that sounds Spanish.
Latina?
That's
or
it.
La Latina or something like that?
Yeah, it's Latina. But he names her like this really cute name, and she's adorable. Like the times that she's like by herself interacting with the other kids in the town, are fun to watch. Knowing where it's going to go, and knowing who Dale is, he ruins the show for me more than anything else.
Yeah, he's not good.
He's a doting father, but like times 10, to the point where every time he's on screen, I just wish he wasn't on screen. I wish it was just her like running around, like trying to be helpful at the end. Like she's picking up after these big, gruff men who like they look like they don't want anything to do with the kid, but they all kind of become like her adoptive parents, and like they're taking care of her. Like she gets lost in an episode, so they go out and search the town for her, and that's where she meets like some kids that she eventually goes to school with. Like those parts are fun, but Dale just brings the show down so fast that I couldn't watch it after like 4 episodes because he's just annoying.
Yeah, like the doting parent thing is like exaggerated, like that's to a point where like it's unwatchable. More of the fact where I know where the story leads to, it kind of took away from the show because it's not like a slice of life like we get with Sweetness and Lightning, where it's like father-daughter relationship, where I'm gonna steal this take, it's more of a grooming anime because of, spoiler alert, they bang and get married. I hated that aspect because the whole time he doesn't act like he's a father. He's never really like proud of his kid. He's more just like obsessed with like how cute she is, and whenever she does something good, it's never like, way to go, champ type of thing. It's always like, oh my god, you're so cute. It's like, this is not like how fathers react to like
it makes it very uncomfortable to watch.
But like you said, the scenes without Dale, where it's like her with her friends, or just like randomly like with some like other scenes in the show, really good like slice of life elements, like really enjoyable show. And I had this take on Twitter: as long as they don't make 12 more episodes and I leave the story as is and I don't read into it anymore, I thought it was an alright show.
Yep.
And personally, it's just really good slice of life elements, just with some like random ass things that I don't like. So
and it's
personally, I gave it a.
Go on.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's gonna be a show that I might actually pick up when I just need a pick me up. Like I just need to watch some like cute girl being cute, like doing cute things. But like you said, Dale, he just drove it so down that I had to stop watching it because I felt weird watching him, like the way he acted. So yeah, it might be something I pick up and eventually do finish because it's not the worst. It's leaps and bounds better than most of the other shows I've talked about so far on here, or we've talked about. Like the whole
this goes for anybody. If you need cute girls doing cute things, watch Laid Back Camp. For the love of God, please watch Laid Back Camp. Cannot stress that enough, Adam.
All right.
So you did not finish it, but you didn't drop it, right?
It's kind of on hiatus. I'm like 4 or 5 episodes in.
All right, I finished it. I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's fine. Watch Sweetness and Lightning instead.
Yes.
Next show up is a show that I'm watching. Amazon Prime's they get like one show a season to simulcast, and it's this one. It's Vinland Saga, and then this one is a Seinen, which is like an advanced version, like an older demographic of shonen, where instead of fight scenes where you see people getting punched in the face, you see axes chopping people's heads off, and it takes place in like Iceland, Denmark, England, and like the 1200s. And it's stories of the main character of Thorfinn, his name is. And they go around fighting. They're essentially mercenaries, these Vikings, going around fighting like the Denmark army, the English army, whoever pays the most type of like really brutal savagery fighting scenes. But like the show itself is like, I'm just saying unbelievable. It's fantastic. It kind of has a revenge story similar to Demon Slayer, where the main character's father's died. It's not really a spoiler. It's literally like the premise of the show of why he's doing this. And it's the story of like him trying to avenge his father and become this like great Viking warrior. The fight scenes are unbelievable. It's savage. It's really gruesome, but like that's the whole point of the show, where like war is not fun. And especially in the 1200s where you're fighting with axes and swords, it's really gruesome. But it does all the elements great. It's done by Wit Studios, who does Attack on Titan. So if you like that style of show, you're going to like Vinland Saga. It's starting its second core very recently. I think it's like 13 episodes in, and I'm on episode 12. So, highly recommended for anybody who is a fan of like these older, mature action shows. It's a 9 out of 10. It's legit just behind Demon Slayer and Omaids of the Savage Season. It's that solid.
That's great to hear.
Next, yeah, for sure. And next up is our fantasy show, Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon Season 2. I finished it. Adam is still currently watching it. It picks up where Season 1 left off of Belle and Hestia and their familia getting into, like, you know, random encounters with other familias and starting mischief and chaos and what leads to what. And Adam, I think you said that you're on like episode 3, or did you finish episode 3?
I finished episode 4, I believe. I finished the
4.
War Games arc.
Okay, so I'll briefly touch on War Games roughly. Don't want to give too many spoilers away.
Go for it.
Love the idea
spoilers,
of the War
because
Game.
I've already seen I've played the game, so I already know what kind of happens.
Yeah, but this is also for like the other people
That's true,
listening if
true.
they haven't watched it. Love the aspect of War Games. I kind of similar to like the high school DxD chess game that they have.
The rating games. That was my one thing. I'm like, this is just the rating game. I love it.
This is like the rating game, but for like a familia, and I love the setup for it, and how they executed it was awful. It literally, they Trojan horsed it in 10 seconds.
Yeah, it was done in like half an episode, which kind of felt like...
I think it was done quicker than half an episode.
Yeah, it might have been.
And that was a real disappointment to me, because I thought how they were setting up Season 2 was a little different than Season 1, kind of going away from the dungeon. I thought that was a really good idea, and I thought it would be a really cool premise to the show, and I thought it was executed so poorly that they couldn't even add like a legit like fight scene from Familia versus Familia. They just Trojan horsed it, and it's kind of really underwhelming to me.
Understandable.
You're beginning like the next arc of the show,
yep.
Which I also have some problems with, but I'm not going to say anything. I just thought that the show took away from what it did really well in the first season and didn't really do anything new in the second season. And for me... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I totally understand that critique of it, and going, like, from what I've seen, it hasn't been as good as the first season. I really liked the first season, mind you. I think I have it like an 8 out of 10, the first season. But I don't feel like this one is going to be as good. From the story aspects of it, I don't think it's as fun as the first one. And if the first part felt rushed. Because, like I said,
yes.
It was less. It might have been less than half an episode for that entire fight scene. They set up this fight for 3 episodes, and then it was done in half an episode at most. So, if it's like that, I don't see it like being on the same ground as the first season. But I don't think it's bad per se. Like it's still if you watch the first season and enjoyed it, I feel like you'll probably still get something out of this. It'd be worth watching. But
yeah, the biggest issue is the pacing, because of how the first arc lasted was like it was 3 episodes long, and then the second arc, which you're currently on, is like 7 episodes, and I feel like they should be switched. And it kind of took away from it, but like the animation's great. Like I think like the storyline that they have is pretty solid. I don't like how this season 2 ended, but with season 3 coming already announced, that could change like my perspective on it. I wasn't a fan of how season 2 ended. I gave season 1 a 7 out of 10. I thought it was like a really good like fantasy dungeon crawler, and I like the risk that I said this in a previous episode where like I don't mind like shows taking risks. And, like I'm not gonna take that away from it if the risk they take and it fails. I still think it's a pretty solid show, but I'm giving it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm not finished with it, so I can't say what my final thoughts are. But right now, I think I had an 8 for the first season. I'm hovering somewhere around like a 6, 7 on this one. It's enjoyable.
I think we both are like Yeah, it's both just like 1 point below season 1, and
Yeah,
hopefully season 3 changes my view on season 2.
that's totally fair. This okay. Next one we got is the ones within Genome. This is one I watched. I don't believe you watched any of this. Is it?
Didn't see a second of it.
Yeah, don't. So this is another one that this one took a risk. This one took a big risk, and I just think it did not stick the well. It flopped at the starting line. So the idea of this is a bunch of gamers that are all like Let's Players on their version of YouTube get kidnapped and put into a parallel. I don't want to say dimension, but like the things that they're encountering aren't really possible. So like I'm just gonna call it an isekai for the sake of explaining how this world doesn't make sense. They get put into another dimension where they have to where they have to get viewers on this hidden camera show that they're on. It's kind of like Big Brother in a way, where everyone's like watching them and they're all competing, or Survivor. And they have to get enough viewers in order for them all to escape. But if they fail any of their challenges, they will die. And so it has like this psychological horror aspect to it, but then mixes it with comedy because nothing is taken seriously. Like the villain of the show is a guy in a suit, but he has a llama head. And you don't really from what I can tell, it's not a mask or anything. It's just a llama in a suit with a human body. And at one point they have a human panda who has to make he's a panda girl that has to make their challenge is to make him fall in love with the prettiest boy at school, like the popular guy. They just have these completely off the wall challenges that they have to complete, but it's all framed with like this if you fail you're gonna die setting. It's convoluted, and I didn't have fun watching it. It's another one of those ones I fell asleep watching multiple times. If I sounded like I had no idea, like it was crazy talking there, like that's what the show makes you feel. There's no other way to explain it. It's just kind of like a psychological horror, but then everything is like undermined with just comedy. It's weird.
I think I remember in like the first impressions episode where you were having a really hard time explaining the show.
Yeah.
And it was one of the reasons why I wasn't even going to bother touching it, because if you can't explain it, then how am I going to like understand it type of thing?
That's kind of how I feel. Like, really the only thing you need to know is they have to get viewers, they're on a Survivor-like show, but the challenges they have are just unreal.
Yeah.
Like, there's another one, there's like a giant panda that saves the main character when he's falling from his death. Like, we're talking like Island of the Giant Pokemon size. Like, I don't know if you saw that episode of Pokemon from like the first season. They end up with a giant robotic Pokemon. There's a panda that's the size of a skyscraper that just catches the main character and prevents him from falling. All because the main character didn't run away from him because he realized that the panda wasn't aggressive. I don't know. It's just everything that happens just makes you go, what? Why am I watching this?
I think this is just a really good interpretation of this season. This season was bad. I think you mentioned like this might be the worst season you've ever seen. I think this is probably the worst season of anime I've ever seen. Luckily, we did get a few diamonds in the rough, but like for the most part, there's a lot of bad shows this year.
Yeah, the highs are very high, but the lows, there's a lot of them. I'm not gonna say the lows are very low because I've seen some stuff worse than this, but like there's just a lot of shit at the bottom of this anime pile.
I feel ya. Well, luckily for one of the good ones is a show that I watched, and it's called Given. And Given is a 11-episode show. It's on Funimation and Crunchyroll of this band coming together and creating music. Really slow burn of a show, but overall the show was fantastic. I think I said this earlier in a previous episode where like it has a romance element to it, which is boys' love or like a homosexual relationship between like the crew, which didn't take away from anything, but I know it's off-putting to some people. It was announced earlier that it's getting a movie in 2020 because the story still has a lot to go. The music is fantastic if you're a fan of like music animes. I thought like the big performance that they put on was like really well executed, and the slow burn definitely paid off. The OP is fantastic, and it's pretty original. Math rock is the genre. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of like these like drama music. Not too much drama, but there's definitely like undertones to like when you're creating music. Like a lot of times people like sing about like personal experiences, so you learn like the meanings behind the lyrics of the song. So for like music lovers, songwriters, that type of stuff, it's a really good show to pick up. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, this is one a friend of mine was really wanting me to watch so that I could discuss it with her. So it's probably the next one I'm going to pick up from this season. I'm going to watch before anything else. All right, so now we got a couple of shorts coming up. First one is Are You Lost? This one is about a group of girls, 4 girls that get trapped on an island, and they have to use survival techniques to survive. It has a feel kind of like Dumbbells, where they're giving you like life advice, but this time instead of it being geared towards working out, getting in shape, it's about how to survive being stranded on an island, like what to look for, how to hunt, how to make snare traps, like how to properly like stay hydrated when all you have is seawater. It's a fun show. I think there's a bit of ecchi scenes in there from time to time, but it's not bad. They're enjoyable. I had a pretty good time with this one. They're 12 minutes long or something like that per episode. Peter, did you watch it?
Yeah, a really enjoyable watch. 12-minute episodes. There was like the ecchi fan service episode or parts to it, but like sometimes it like made sense, so I didn't really have like an issue with it. For like example, when they're like squeezing like the water out of a fish that they use like their shirt, and they wrap it and squeeze the fish with their shirt, so you get to see a girl in like her bra, but like it makes sense. You need to do that. And there's some other elements to like surviving where they're in like ecchi fan service elements. It didn't really take away from the show. The comedy there's some pretty funny scenes to it, but it was just like overall just a really enjoyable 12-minute show.
I also really liked the dynamic between the characters. Like each of them is like an archetype. You have the survival expert who just happens to be in this situation. You have the smart girl, you have the athletic one, and then you have the princess. And I really liked just the dynamic that would show up when one of them would realize they have to do something outside their comfort zone, or that it's time for them to step up because they're holding the group back, and someone in the group inspires them without really realizing it. I liked those aspects because it gave it a bit of like, I don't know, a relationship building between all the characters, and it just added just that extra layer to what could have very easily just been 4 girls that just need to use each other to survive.
Yeah, this could have easily just been like a super ecchi fan service show, and they turned it into something more, which exceeded my expectations, so I enjoyed it.
And theme song, I watched every one of them. I liked the dance that they did throughout in the OP. It was fun. Mm-hmm. I liked the theme song.
Yeah, absolutely. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Same.
One of the best shorts I've seen.
Yep, it was one of the watching episode to episode. There's only one other show I watched episode to episode this season, and this one was one of the shining stars in my day that I could just go and watch it on. I forgot what day it came on, but I would watch them on Saturdays. So.
Mm-hmm.
Next one we have is Magical Senpai, the other short of the season, about a bland main character who ends up in a magic club with a less than magical senpai. The senpai of the show is, like I said, less than magical. She's not very good at magic, and most of her tricks end up causing her in some kind of like ecchi situation, or completely like just blundering the scene. And the main character, has to kind of like pick up for her slack, and he actually seems to have some kind of magical skill. He's pretty good at like tricks. I didn't have that great a time with it. This was the weaker of the two for me. Peter, did you watch it?
For sure. The first episode I thought was like really funny, and then like it is labeled as like an ecchi. So like the random like fan service elements was like, all right, that was fine. And then as the show went on, the comedy disappeared, and then every like short bit that they had was a setup to some form of like panty shot or like sexual like
Yeah.
interactions with like the cast members and everything. So it kind of lost its charm from the first episode to the last episode type of thing. It was like I watched it with it came out on the same day as Are You Lost, so I just combined these two as like one episode that I would watch like back to back. Just it was just like a normal comedy ecchi show short, so it wasn't terrible. It's what you expect.
Out of the two, Are You Lost was definitely my favorite of the two, but I also think I don't know if it was actually like advertised as an ecchi, but I liked the ecchi elements in that one far more than the one that was obviously trying for that. And it's probably because I felt like there was a real story going on, but also like it felt real and not like staged.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole show kind of feels like a stage performance almost, that's a setup for like this gag at the very end. It's like, and it ended in a panty shot again, or like so. That's what really took it for me. It wasn't even funny, so like for me that's like more of like a 5, 4.
I gave it a 5 as well. And then last on our reviews is the season 1 of Fruits Basket that I watched. Adam watched the original, so I got my interpretation of Fruits Basket for the first time, and I thought the first half of the season started off kind of slow. Obviously, we're like building to what was the end of season 1, and I really like that they got to build the side characters really well. I felt like each side character got like an entire episode devoted to them, which is not common in most shows. So it made you really get a grasp on the entire cast of the show. I like the random, I like the zodiac elements of the characters and how each one represents like the animals of the zodiac, and just like the mysteriousness of like the Soma family that they have. Since we can't really bounce it off of it, I give it an 8 out of 10. They already announced season 2, which is probably going to be another 25 episodes. I'm really looking forward to that. And I think if you're a fan of Fruits Basket, I think you should definitely check it out.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so let's transition to our off-the-cuff segment. Our off-the-cuff segment is me and Adam are both going to ask each other questions where we don't have, or each other doesn't have the
question ahead of
wherewithal of the question ahead of time. So just want to get like everyone's answers off the cuff. So I'll go first. All right, Adam. In the world of anime is very, very vast. We have genres ranging from girls driving tanks for sports to people constantly running into trucks and being sent to another world. Adam, my question for you today is, what genre of or subject would you like to see covered in anime that has not been seen yet?
Easy. Wrestling. And not professional wrestling. I want a, sport wrestling anime. I've been wanting this for so long.
Amateur, I think they call it amateur wrestling, correct?
Yes, amateur wrestling. So the stuff you'd see like in a high school, college, Olympic style wrestling. Whether that, I don't care if it's Greco-Roman, I don't care if it's freestyle wrestling. I just want a competitive wrestling sports anime.
I feel you.
So, for those who don't know, back in high school, I was a wrestler, and some of my favorite anime that I don't expect that hit me are the sports ones. Whether it's Suzuka, which is more of a romance, Yowamushi Pedal, like shows like that where it's like has a big sports influence. It gets me into like trying out a new sport, and I feel like wrestling would be the perfect one. We already had a sumo wrestling one that was like an underdog story about like a kid who's too small to sumo wrestler but does it with all his heart. I want something like mix that with Yowamushi Pedal and have like a kid who doesn't know anything about wrestling get drafted onto the wrestling team somehow. That would be so fun for me.
I think that's a good answer. Mine was also a sports one, and that's ice hockey.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be a great one.
I think like a shonen version of like Kuroko's No Basket, but for ice hockey would be really cool.
Oh yeah, I would totally watch that. So you ready for my question for you?
I'm ready.
All right. Every season, there's always some show that slips through the cracks. We only have so much time to watch some of these shows, and really good shows might get missed. So my question for you is, what is a show that slipped through the cracks that's everyone like rates as being really good that you just simply won't watch because you don't have time for. Not necessarily because you know you won't like it, but just there's so much out there that you're just not going to watch it.
Man, it's like the default answer is One Piece, but like, then again, I'm not like the biggest shonen fan in the world, so One Piece honestly doesn't. Everybody like just gushes like every time there's a new chapter on Twitter, it's like trending worldwide, and so it's like one of those shows where like either like if you're not watching it, you're missing out type of thing. Man, slipping through the cracks and I don't have enough time to watch. That's a really good question because there's so much anime out there that I haven't watched. It's got to be like those longer ones. I mean, most of them are just like the shonens. Like it's probably gonna be JoJo, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Which the genre of JoJo is perfect for me. Like I've seen the memes, I've seen the videos, and I think it's fucking hilarious. And everything about the show makes sense. And I've never seen an episode of in my life. So it's just one of those shows where like there's 5 parts out now, so that's like 100+ episodes. And it's like, do I really want to devote myself to a 100-episode show right now? And most of the time, I'm only watching like one at a time, and most of the time the answer is no. And I put my focus elsewhere. So like right now it's Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yep.
And I don't know I'm gonna watch after I'm done with that. And I don't think it's going to be JoJo, even though I know I would love JoJo. So it's really hard to explain like my mindset.
Oh, I understand entirely. There's just too much time, and like sometimes you just need you're not able to get to everything.
And I think like one reason why like anime appeals to me is like I like the fact that like a lot of shows are like 12 to 24 episodes.
Yep.
And I feel like if I'm watching JoJo, I should probably watch all of it and not just like pick and choose type of thing.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Do you have like what's your answer to that if you have one?
If I had to guess, it'd be something like Gintama.
Oh yeah.
Or
that's the same thing with like JoJo though. Like it fits me perfectly. Like I love like the gag humor and everything, yep. But there's 400 episodes and I don't know if I want to start.
But then there's also if I like the Monogatari series, I probably wouldn't be able to get into at this point. But like that's one I feel bad because like that's another one. It's like I feel like I'm doing something wrong if I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I mean, I got some angry tweets about my stance on the Monogatari series,
did you?
So I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave that one off the record for this episode because I don't want any more angry tweets.
Okay. All right, so that's the off the cuff segment. Going into our final segment of the day, we're going to be doing our so controversial 20 question segment. This time,
which is funny because if people don't know that our Overlord thing, we asked people to like comment whether like if we thought I was right or Adam was right, and it was legit 50-50 down the middle.
Yep.
So like it just added to the controversy more because then people started arguing with each other. So I just love the fact that it kind of just blew up. So
it was fun.
Hopefully this time it's not too bad.
Yeah,
it was for sure fun because I think we argued off recording for like another 25 minutes.
Oh yeah, it was. Then at work, was it like 3 days later? I saw the first person message saying that you were right, and then I'm like, you know what? I have something. I've been sitting here thinking about it while I was trying to sleep, and then I had an issue with another question. Like, if we're gonna play technical, what about this question? And so
it was good times.
It was fun.
Hopefully. Those are fun every now and then, but hopefully we can just stick to the regiment of just the normal anime 20 questions.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let me just get mine up here. There it is. All right. So, 20 questions. I have mine picked out. Pete, the floor is yours.
All right. So, if people don't know the 20 questions, so I'm going to ask up to 20 questions, and then Adam picked out an anime that I have to guess. So, my first question, Adam, is this a show?
Like a TV series? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Is it a TV series? Yes.
Okay. Did it come out before 2010?
Yes.
Does it have a sequel?
Yes. Wait, let me ooh. I'm gonna have to break one of the rules here, but It came
I'm
out.
assuming it's like an OVA
It
then or
came out
something.
in 2010.
Okay, it came out in 2010 and it has a sequel.
It has a sequel that came out after 2010.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Is it an isekai?
No.
Okay. I had to ask that question since you asked that one last time and we kind of that's how it started. Is it a shonen?
No, it's not listed as a shonen.
Is the main character a male?
Yes.
It has a sequel. Okay. Does it take place in like a high school?
Yes. And I'll say this. Depending on where you look, it might be considered a shonen.
Are you on like Mal?
I have Mal has it as a shonen. Wiki does not have it as a shonen.
Okay.
I'll say this. It's definitely made for a male audience of about that age.
Okay. Does it have an ecchi element? Or like a ecchi tag?
It does not have an ecchi tag.
Okay, that's 7. Is it a sports anime?
No.
Is it a romance
Yes.
anime? Is there like supernatural elements in the show?
Yes.
Is it done by Kyoto Animation?
No.
Ooh, damn it. Okay. Damn it. I thought I had that there. Damn it. I had 2 in mind and they're both by Kyoto Annie. Okay, so that's 11. Shonen, not sports, romance, or has romance in it. Main character is a male. Did I ask if it's a sports anime?
Yes, you did. It was
Okay,
not a
so
sports
not-
anime.
Does it revolve around like is the main like the story revolve them around like a club setting?
No.
Okay. Damn, what are they doing at school then if it's not sports or a club? Wow. Okay. There's so many. I wish I could. I need to narrow this down because school and romance is about 8,000 animes.
Yep.
I wish I could narrow it down more.
There's 2 key genres all that if you can figure it out would probably be very helpful.
Is it a comedy?
Yes.
So it's a romantic comedy in school. Not done by Kyoto Animation. And it has it has a sequel. I need to focus on that. It has a sequel.
I'll say this: the sequel is a second part, so it's like part 1, part 2.
Is it on Mal? Is it listed as like a sequel?
I mean, it's a separate entry. Yes.
Okay. Does it revolve around music?
No.
Damn it! Damn it! I had an idea too, and I thought that was it. Okay. I think that's 13.
That's where I'm at. I have 13. And if you need some help, I will give you some more help because this might be a very difficult one.
I wish I could ask if I've seen it or not, but I can't ask that question.
I don't know if I could answer that question.
I mean, you have my Mal, don't you?
I mean, you could ask another question that I could well.
Let's see. So not music, not sports, not club, but it's at school.
And it's a romance comedy. There's another key genre that you need here.
Okay, so I asked if it has supernatural elements.
It does have supernatural elements.
Okay, so it's probably like some fucking. Oh, is it a harem?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I think I have a better idea now. Um. So the sequel is like a second part, though.
Yes.
And it's a harem. So it's obviously not like High School DxD because that is obviously has a sequel. What other like random school harems are there?
Yeah, the first
Um,
I'll say this. The first season, 12 episode season is like part 1. The second season is called the same title of the show with a 2 after it and is the second half. It could have just been one story.
is there violence in this show?
No.
So that's 15. So I could just probably guess just 5 random school harems with a
Supernatural.
not psychological, supernatural. Okay, it's not.
And
a
you have
sport.
every
What's
genre now. Like there's no more genres for you.
I know supernatural rom com. It's like I literally cannot get like Suzumi out of my head. And
You're around the right time. I mean, I guess you know the time period, so.
2010 has a sequel, rom com with supernatural elements in it. It's a harem. Supernatural elements.
I'll say if you took the time on Mal to just scroll down through the list, it would be there. It's a pretty popular show, though.
Okay, I trust you.
I'm just worried that you might
to...
not know it now, and now I'm going to feel like I'm cheating.
If it's pretty popular, even if I haven't seen it, I feel like I would know it. Okay. And it doesn't have violence in it. Okay. I don't want dead air, but I'm just trying to think of like these different.
Hey, this is the part where I hit my wall too, so it's the dead air will come.
Because like my problem is I have like 3 in mind and I know they're all the wrong answer, but I can't get them out of my head. Supernatural. I'm trying to think of like supernatural harems. What's a rom com? And it takes place in school. Man, what is this show? I want to watch it.
It's a great show. I own the show, so maybe that'll help you a little bit.
Does it involve time travel?
No, there might.
Okay.
I can't think of an essence of time travel in there.
Okay, I'm just trying to like narrow it down. So that's 16. Damn, man, this one's a good one. It's supposed to be hard. I'm trying to work through it.
You'll work through it. I have a feeling you'll at least get close.
I think I'm just about to start guessing shows because I don't think there's no point in like narrowing it down now. So I'm just going to think of like really popular harems with rom-com elements into it. And whether it has supernatural, that might have to come later. Is it... I said violence, but violence might be different. Is it Trinity 7?
No.
Damn it. Okay. Okay. Rom-com.
Do you want a general idea of the score that it has?
Well, knowing that's a harem, it's probably in like the 7s. Man, it just seems like it's Trinity 7 to a fucking T. And is it Data Live?
No,
Damn it.
but you are moving in the right direction.
Is it? I think that's 18, and I have 2 more guesses. Is it Yamada Kuda the Seven Witches?
No.
Come
I do own
on!
that, though.
Oh, I have 1 more guess. Supernatural harem romance comedy. Harem. Is it okay? I have 2 into my head right now. Oh, oh. I'm just gonna go with it. Is it Bunny Girl Senpai?
No.
Damn it!
I'll say this: that came out way too late to be, because it was
Oh,
2010.
what? It doesn't even have a fucking sequel. Why would I guess that?
It was like 2010.
My other one is it Kokoro Connect? No. Okay, then I don't know.
It was The World God Only Knows.
Oh, I've seen that show. Okay. Why did I? Damn it.
That's a good one. I love that show. Just by the way, so I'm just gonna give this might be a hint for all the other ones I do. From now on, I'm picking shows that I know and that I either really really like or I think need to be avoided at all costs.
I just wish I should have said Bunny Girl Senpai. That's such a dumb guess. I was thinking rom-com Supernatural. That's all I can have in my head.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think that's the first time that. Well, I guess
besides the last time.
Yeah. Well, that was a good one because I have seen The World Only God Knows, so I should have gotten it. So that's on me. But other than that, I think that was a pretty solid episode.
Question though, before we finish up, how do you feel about that one? Is that a show you enjoy? Is that a show you'd say skip on? Or
I think I gave season 1 an 8.
yeah, it's one of my favorite shows. That's the reason I own it.
Because it's kind of a different. It's not like a traditional like rom-com type of harem show because like the girls forget who he is like after he like finishes the job or whatever. So it's like it's a little different take on like that type of genre. So I enjoy shows like that.
Yep.
All right. Now let's end the show. This was a pretty long episode, so appreciate everybody for listening. If you want to contact us, please follow us on Twitter. That's at WhatDoYouSayAnime. That's WhatDoYouSayAni on Twitter, or you can email us at WhatDoYouSayAnime@gmail.com. So once again, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good one.